Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast.
Today, we're looking at Palantir. The big question is it a good time to buy now?
We want to hear from you. Subscribe, like, and comment to support the show. And if there's a specific company you want us to look into, leave it in the comments below.
So let's get into the analysis. We took a pretty comprehensive look at your sources, and there's a clear picture emerging for Palantir right now. The main takeaway really is that the company seems driven by this powerful combination: strong quarterly results, definite momentum in defense, and, these really high market expectations around its AI leadership.
Yeah, and those results validating the shift are, well, they're quite fresh. We're looking at the Q3 2025 earnings reported November 3rd, and frankly, they are incredibly impressive. Revenue over the trailing 12 months at TTM hit $3.44 billion. That's not just okay growth. It's strong double-digit year-over-year growth. It's actually surpassing a lot of its software peers. And maybe more importantly, they've consistently beaten expectations, both EPS and revenue, for, 4 quarters straight now?
Exactly. That consistency is the shift. And it's really crucial for investors to grasp what this profitability means. Net income TTM is sitting at $763.29 million. Now, why does actual GAAP profitability matter so much here? Well, historically, Palantir got dinged for relying heavily on stock-based comp, which, kind of inflated how costly things looked. This sustained GAAP profitability, it validates their whole model. It shows they can actually scale globally and manage internal costs efficiently.
Right. It's like they've graduated. They're not just a high-potential, high-cost startup anymore. They seem like a more mature, efficient operation now. And the margins, wow, they're exceptional. Gross margin consistently over 75% and net margin topping 20%. For enterprise SaaS, that's really top tier.
Absolutely. And underpinning that high margin is just a fortress balance sheet. They've got well over $3 billion in cash and, crucially, almost no long-term debt. Plus, their free cash flow is positive and actually climbing, so they're generating more cash than they spend. That gives them immense leverage. They can pour money into AI R&D, maybe make strategic acquisitions, or even think about shareholder returns down the line, all without needing to borrow.
So essentially a war chest. They can handle bumps in the road while still innovating. Okay, but that leads to the question, why? Why can they command these kinds of margins? What's the secret sauce keeping competitors at bay?
It really boils down to their competitive moat, I think. Palantir isn't just doing generic AI analytics. They operate at this intersection of extreme security and massive scale. They're deeply entrenched in critical sectors like government defense and intelligence. That's primarily handled by their Gotham platform. Gotham is specifically built for these highly secure, absolutely mission-critical situations where, failure just isn't an option.
And that security reputation, that pedigree, that carries over to the commercial side too, doesn't it?
Precisely. Their other main pillar is the Foundry platform. That tackles complex data integration for commercial and industrial clients. Think about applying that battle-tested, super secure Gotham architecture to solve huge problems for logistics firms or health systems or big manufacturers. This dual-focus secure government work informing adaptable commercial tools makes Gotham and Foundry genuine benchmarks. It's hard for the big tech players to just quickly replicate that specific combination.
Okay, so the fundamentals seem solid, very solid even. But the market's reaction has been, explosive. The stock surged over 170% year to date. That absolutely crushes the S&P 500's 17% gain in 2025. I mean, that level of outperformance is pretty staggering. It makes you wonder, who's doing all the buying?
Yeah, the momentum is just undeniable. From a technical standpoint, the stock is showing classic trend strength. The price is consistently staying well above both the 50-day and the 200-day moving averages. And the fact that even at these levels, those averages are holding as support, that suggests it's not just retail hype. Institutional money seems to be holding firm, maybe even buying on dips.
Right. It feels like sophisticated money believes in the longer-term story here.
And you see that reflected in the sentiment data, too. Looking at 13F filings, the ones tracked by places like Whale Wisdom, they show pretty large net inflows from institutional investors. Big asset managers seem to be upping their stakes.
Which suggests they see more upside, even after this massive run-up.
Exactly. And while the institutions are buying in, the retail side is still very bullish. The narrative you hear constantly is that Palantir is the long-term AI winner, especially in that defense and secure data niche. When you get institutions and retail aligned like that on a strong growth story, well, the momentum can kind of feed on itself.
Okay, so let's shift focus forward then. Because the calendar for the next, say, 3 months, November 25 through February 26, it looks unusually packed. packed with potential catalysts. We need to watch institutional flows and market timing almost immediately, right?
Right off the bat, yeah. November 8th brings a major ETF rebalancing. We could see huge volume spikes. Passive funds have to adjust their holdings based on updated index weights. If Palantir's weighting increased, which seems likely given its run, you could see forced institutional buying, almost regardless of the price that day.
That's interesting. That's sort of mechanical buying pressure. Then fast forward a bit to December 15th, we get the Q4 institutional holdings reports. That's key, isn't it? Because it shows us exactly how the big funds position themselves heading into year-end after seeing that strong Q3 beat. Gives us a real sense of their conviction. Definitely. But the real headline grabbers are probably the fundamental news items expected early next year. The market's really anticipating a major U.S. defense contract award announcement around January 10th, 2026. Given Palantir's deep roots in defense and the potential size of these contracts, we could be talking hundreds of millions, maybe more. It's a huge event. Could really shape their public sector growth narrative for the whole year.
And then, hot on the heels of that, February 10th, 2026, is the Q4 2025 earnings release. This one feels particularly important because management will likely give crucial updates on new AI product launches, how they're being adopted, and of course, how that public sector pipeline looks after that potential January contract win.
And we shouldn't totally ignore the speculative chatter either. The sources mention pretty strong rumors about an exclusive multi-year AI deal with a major NATO government, possibly landing early 2026. If that happens, it would significantly boost their international government revenue and be a huge validation globally.
And then there's the perennial speculation, potential index inclusion. S&P 500, maybe. If they keep up this gap profitability and maintain their market cap, the talk will continue. The passive buying triggered by that event alone would be massive, potentially separate from fundamentals for a bit.
So, okay, we've got undeniable strength, huge technical momentum, and a catalyst calendar that's just, well, it's stacked for the next 90 days. But we absolutely have to talk about the risks, especially the big one that probably makes value investors a bit nervous.
Let's just say it. The risk might be that the story sounds too good. What are the main operational or competitive threats that could knock this off course?
First one is probably concentration risk. Even with commercial growth, they still lean heavily on government revenue historically. That makes revenue streams kind of lumpy. Big government contracts are great, but they don't land every quarter, so you can get volatility. A slowdown in government spending or losing a key renewal could hit hard.
Makes sense. And then there's competition.
Exactly. Big tech is definitely noticing. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they're all pushing hard into enterprise AI analytics. They have massive cloud platforms, huge sales teams. If that competition really heats up, could it squeeze Palantir's margins, force them to price Foundry more aggressively? It's a real possibility.
Okay, and this leads us to, well, the elephant in the room, valuation. Even with all the growth, the multiples are just astonishing, aren't they? The trailing PE is around 644x. Even looking forward, it's still over 270x.
I mean, to put that 644x TTM PE in perspective, the market is basically pricing in flawless exponential growth for years to come. No bumps, no interruptions.
Right. What kind of growth do you even need to justify that? If they just meet expectations, the stock might fall because the current price seems to demand they aggressively beat expectations quarter after quarter. The risk of a sharp pullback, if anything falters, even slightly, seems extremely high.
And the analyst community kind of reflects this tension, doesn't it? Their consensus rating, according to the sources, is still just a cautious hold. Even though they've had to raise price targets because the stock keeps blowing past them, the average target, $142.75, is still way below where it's trading now. It's like they're saying, look, the fundamentals are great, we get it, but the math on this valuation is really tough to justify.
Okay, so that's the core tension, right? The sky-high valuation versus this incredible momentum and a packed catalyst calendar. How do we synthesize this? What's the final thesis here?
Our synthesis actually leans, well, pretty strongly bullish. We'd rate it maybe an 8.5 out of 10, but definitely for a risk-tolerant investor. The key is how you weight things. Right now, we think the accelerating revenue, that validated profitability, the strong balance sheet, and that powerful AI data moat, we think those outweigh the valuation concerns specifically because of how close and significant these upcoming catalysts are. So if you're a long-term investor, you're fundamentally betting on their continued AI leadership and market expansion. But if you're looking more short-term, that combination of specific events, the ETF rebalancing soon, that potential defense contract in January, the earnings in February, it presents really compelling event-driven upside potential. It might justify paying this premium. at least for the next few months.
Yeah, what really stands out is seeing a stock near all-time highs, yet still attracting significant institutional money, and having multiple really high-profile potential catalysts like that big defense contract expected within just the next 90 days. It forces you as an investor to weigh that very high valuation against what looks like almost guaranteed major news flow coming very soon.